This actually happened to me a little over a year ago. I'm 24, I live alone in a townhouse in the suburbs, and usually I love the silence. But that night, the silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like waiting. I keep things simple. Friends come over sometimes, sleepovers happen when someone wants to escape their parents' house. We all share keys. It's that kind of trust. That night, I had no plans. But tomorrow, I was supposed to have a movie night with my friend Sarah. I went to bed early, just wanting the hours to pass so the next day could come. At 2 a.m., I woke up. My heart was pounding. Not the usual half-asleep haze. This was different. My brain felt sharp, alert, like someone had flipped a switch inside me. At first, I thought maybe I'd had a nightmare. But then I heard it. A click from downstairs. And then a door creaked open. Slow, groaning. Followed by footsteps. Not rushed, not panicked, just casual footsteps entering a home that wasn't theirs. I froze. My first thought was Sarah, or one of my friends. After all, they had keys. Maybe something had happened and they needed a place to stay. But what if it wasn't? What if this wasn't anyone I knew? I got out of bed, opened my door, and stepped into the hallway. "Sarah," I whispered. Silence. Then suddenly, a bright light flicked on downstairs. A second later, the muffled chatter of the TV filled the house. Relief hit me for a moment. Clearly one of my friends, maybe drunk, maybe confused. I started down the stairs trying to calm my nerves. But the second I stepped into the living room, my body turned to ice. There was a man sitting on my couch, a complete stranger. He looked maybe 50, with long, patchy black hair and dirty clothes. He was just sitting there, staring at the TV like he lived there. He turned his head slowly and looked right at me. Then he smiled, a crooked, unsettling smile. And then he waved me over, as if inviting me to sit with him. Why would a stranger be in my house, sitting on my couch, watching my TV? And why did he look so calm? I didn't think. I ran. I sprinted straight out the front door, slammed it behind me, and banged on my neighbor's door until they let me in. My hands were shaking so hard when I called the police that I could barely speak. By the time they arrived, he was gone, vanished. No footprints in the yard, no sign of forced entry, except the latch on my front door, which looked like it had been picked. The officers were polite, but casual. They shrugged. "Probably just a homeless guy looking for a place to crash," one said. "Harmless." They didn't treat it like a crime, more like an inconvenience. And then they left. But when I finally worked up the courage to go back inside, my house told me a different story. The couch cushions were still pressed down. The TV was still warm. The lock had been picked clean, not forced. Whoever he was, he knew what he was doing. He hadn't just wandered in. He'd chosen my house. And the way he smiled at me, the way he waved, it wasn't random. It felt like he'd been waiting. That thought ate at me. So I searched the house, windows, doors, closets, and then I checked the small gap under the stairs, a space I'd never really paid attention to before. Behind a loose panel, I found it. A small pile of things, a flattened piece of cardboard, a crumpled blanket, a mug with lipstick stains that weren't mine, and a notebook. At first, the notes inside were harmless. Observations about the neighborhood, when garbage trucks came, which neighbors left their lights on, what time the mail arrived. But then the entries changed. They were about me, what time I left for class, what I ate for dinner, who had keys to my house. The last entry stopped my breath cold. It was dated the very night I saw him.
The handwriting was jagged, rushed. It read, 2:03 a.m. She woke. She saw me. She ran. Don't lock the door. It makes it louder. My stomach turned. The police hadn't seen this notebook. They never came back. To them, it was nothing. But I couldn't ignore it. From then on, I lived like someone was still inside. I changed my locks, slept with my phone in my hand, kept lights on at night. Every creak, every shadow, it felt like a question. I stopped inviting friends over. I didn't want anyone else in that house. And the scariest part wasn't the man himself. It was realizing that someone had been living under my stairs for God knows how long, and I never noticed. A month later, I moved. I told myself it was smart. A new place, new locks, new start. I packed the notebook, but never opened it again. I didn't want to know what else he'd written. But curiosity has sharp teeth. 3 weeks after moving, late one night, I opened it again. And I swear, there was a page I hadn't seen before. The handwriting was different, neat, almost childish. It read, "Thanks for letting me stay. It's cozy here. I prefer the couch. S." S. My blood ran cold. Sarah? That couldn't be. She was supposed to come over for movie nights. She'd been my friend for years. I called her right away, my voice shaking, and asked if she'd ever been in my house that night. She went quiet, too quiet. Then she asked calmly, far too calmly, "Did you lock your front door that night after you left?" I hesitated. I wasn't sure. When I admitted that, she sighed. And then she said, almost like a warning, "You should check under your stairs." I drove back to the townhouse, the one I no longer lived in, and pulled open that same loose panel. The notebook was there, but under it was something new, a torn piece of fabric, a scarf, one I'd seen before. The same scarf Sarah wore in dozens of her photos, with the initials S stitched in the corner. I don't know how long Sarah, or whoever S really was, had known. I don't know if she was connected to that man, or if she'd been the one waiting in the dark all along. I only know this. Sometimes the people closest to you have the easiest way to hide. And sometimes the scariest thing isn't that someone breaks into your house. It's that someone walks out the front door behind you, smiling, while the rest of the night waits in the dark.